Hello everyone, I'm Darieth Chisolm and welcome to Hustle and Heart TV. Okay, so if you've been watching this video podcast show for some time, then you know I am all about the hustle. I'm all about brand spanking new entrepreneurs as well as business owners and entrepreneurs rocking out whatever it is that they're doing. And the bigger the dream and the bolder, that's even more fantastic. Mame KENDALL, my next guest, is smoking in an industry that is generally reserved for men. The cigar industry, notorious for powerful tobacco companies, cigar aficionados, and men running after their storefront dreams. Yeah, but Mame is no smoke in the mirror. Her smoke cigar shop and lounge might be a new addition in the industry, but she is not a novice. She knows what she's talking about. Mame has owned several cigar shops in the past 13 years and even was a part of the development of a specialty cigar line. Well, thanks to the cigar community in Pittsburgh, her business is booming, and Mame is sharing her story of how she did it and why working your ash off is a surefire guarantee for success. Up next on Hustle and Heart TV. You're watching Hustle and Heart TV, a video podcast show that spotlights expert advice from top money earners, successful entrepreneurs, superstar network marketers, and leading authorities in business and marketing. I'm Darieth Chisolm. I'm inviting you into my home and I'm bridging my own personal success as an entrepreneur, MLMer, news anchor, and now video podcast show host to help you leverage more tools and resources, make more money, and generate more ways to take action, become a rock star, and love your journey. Mame KENDALL, thanks so much for being on Hustle and Heart TV.
Thank you for having me.
So glad to be here in your beautiful place. Smoke is just an incredible lounge. You've done a fabulous job here.
Thank you. I really hope that it shows my personality.
So, a woman owning a smoke shop. Let's start right there. I mean, seriously, I think most people think it's a male-dominated industry. Clearly it is, but you are making your mark in it.
It definitely has been male-dominated for forever. In the past few years, more women are starting to enjoy cigars more. They're not being afraid to smoke cigars in smoke shops. And I'm excited to have been able to open my own shop and be a part of that. I hate to call it a movement, but movement.
And part of it also is educating women around obviously enjoying cigars, and there's so many different cigars. When someone walks through the doors for the first time and they think, you know, I think I'd like to try it, how do you begin someone on the journey of enjoying cigars?
Well, I typically start with, have you smoked before? Is this your first time? Is this something that you do often, just once in a while? And then I ask them, what's your flavor profile? And that means, do you like something mild, medium, full-bodied? And then my next question is always, what is your budget? Some people only want to spend $5 to $8. Some people want to spend $20. And so I try to hit any of those important points so that people get what they want.
It's engaging them into a lifestyle and a trend, not just coming in and grabbing a cigar and smoking it, but really experiencing it.
Absolutely. I think people need to understand more about tobacco in order to really enjoy it. You can't just, I mean, some people can just pick one up and go from there, and sometimes that's how they like to do it, but I make it my personal responsibility to try to teach people about tobacco so that they know what they're smoking, what types of tobacco, strength, things like that, and then the next time they want to smoke one, if they say, well, I like this, I know where I can go from there.
How hard is that, though, in this smoke-free world these days? You know, people are smoking less, and this, of course, is cigarettes. People are less tolerable to smoking, and so how do you do this in a day and age when people are pulling back?
Well, it's difficult. The FDA is definitely coming down hard on the tobacco industry right now. We are fighting a constant battle every single day. That's why lounges are so important. We need to keep our lounges open because we don't smoke at home. We don't smoke in bars. We don't smoke in restaurants, which quite honestly is fine with me. But that's why cigar lounges are so important, because you want to have a place where you can enjoy it. And it is your choice to walk through the door if you want to enjoy a cigar.
Have you come up against a lot of pushback from people, not only those that are obviously about smoke-free, but maybe men who aren't really keen on a woman owning a smoke lounge? and competing maybe against the other? Because it's not like there are a lot of smokehouses anyway. They're few and far between.
In the beginning, my first, few customers, I had a few older gentlemen that were like, "What do you know about cigars?" And they thought it was their duty to start quizzing me. And I actually kind of took it as a compliment because I fired my answers right back, and then they stepped back and said, "Well, I guess you do know something about cigars." I said, "Well, I've been doing this a long time, so I've actually been received quite well."
Let's talk about your backstory and what you do know about cigars. Fill us in on that.
Well, it all started, I'm going to guess about 15 years ago. I met my ex-husband, and he owned a smoke shop. And slowly I started working Saturdays, and then I started filling in after my day job. I would help out, and I just learned and smoked and tried different tobaccos and just tried all kinds of different things, and I listened. The biggest thing for me was I listened to what he said, and I learned. And that was how I started. We had one store, we expanded that store, we opened up a second store, then we opened up a third store. So that was pretty much where I got most of my experience, going to trade shows, meeting people in the industry, which is huge for education. And then unfortunately, we got divorced, came back here to Pittsburgh where I grew up, and I said, I saw this space actually. I wasn't really considering opening a smoke shop until I saw this space, and that's what pushed me to do it.
So you put it on the back burner, but went through a divorce, came back home, saw this space, which is gorgeous, and you started dreaming again.
I did. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I really didn't. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anyone to ask for money. I don't have a college education to help me write this big business plan that's going to get me that fancy SBA loan. So I really just started putting my head together and thinking about things and figuring out how I was going to do it. And thankfully I have an excellent family that helped me get my start, and I just put everything into it, everything I had.
Well, let's dive a little deeper on that, and particularly for women, for anyone starting a business. You're not alone. I mean, most people are at that place where they have a dream, they see a space, they want to make it happen, but they have nothing to begin with. How do you make those steps, and where should you turn, and what should you do? Well,
for me, I really went to my family. I went to my mom and I said, how can we make this happen? Obviously the other place to turn is, the bank. There's definitely ways to get SBA loans, especially for women, but you need time in order for that to work. In order for that to happen, you have to have a lot of time to make that happen. But I just went to my mother, and she and I together put together a plan of how we were going to get the money, and that was what we did, and here I am.
And you knew enough about the industry because you'd been working about it, working with it. But you had to turn something on, I would imagine, because to have the money and have the space and have the knowledge, then you have to get it going and hope that people are going to come in and buy the cigars.
Yeah, well, I started before I had even signed on the dotted line for the space. I started telling everybody. I worked the whole time the space was being built. I literally worked meeting people, going out to places, going to other cigar places, introducing myself, telling people who I was and what I was doing. And that was a huge thing for me. It drew a lot of people. The first day I opened, I couldn't believe the people that were waiting at the door to come in. They said, "Mame, we've been following you on Facebook. We couldn't wait to come here." So social media was really big for me.
Building your story in advance of something happening is huge, and people do, they want to follow you. They want to know what's the progress, and to be open and authentic around it, I think, is so important. And I've noticed, and I've done this in the past too, is to just start to let people know where you are in the process. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be opening this. I'm going to be launching this, and allow people to follow you in that journey even before you get there, because some of that, I would assume, starts to build loyalty. And it doesn't start when the doors open when you first get started. It starts, like you said, in the very beginning when you have nothing, so people know to just follow you until the doors are open.
Yeah, the cigar industry was behind me a lot as well, so that really helped me. The whole industry really pushed me and gave me any help that I needed to make it happen.
Wow, that's interesting. When we come back, we'll talk about ways that the cigar industry helped you, because I find that to be quite interesting. And we'll even talk about the line of cigars that you put together, because that is fabulous as well. We've got so much more we want to focus on, so we'll take a break and get back to that conversation on the other side of it.
Welcome to Smoke Cigar Shop and Lounge. Come smoke your ash off. Come for the knowledge and stay for the experience. With 15 years in the cigar business, we are here to help you find just the right cigar for you or a gift for someone else. We have cigars to fit any budget and palate, from super premium to hard-to-find boutique brands. A comfortable lounge to enjoy your cigars, free Wi-Fi, and BYOB with cork fee. Sit back and relax and get the full experience. There's always a lot going on at Smoke Cigar Shop: sports, news, great conversation, or meetings with your coworkers. To stay on top of all of our events and specials, visit us at smokecigarshop.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Smoke Cigar Shop. Download our app at the App Store or Google Play Store. We're open 10 to 9 during the week and until 10 Friday and Saturday, Sunday 12 to 5. Remember, Smoke Cigar Shop and Lounge. Smoke your ash off with fine butts and hot ashes.
Are you looking for a way to advertise your business, product, or service? Why not do it here on Hustle and Heart TV? We'd be happy to send you our media kit for show sponsorship and advertising. Reach out to us at info@dariethchisholm.com or give us a call at 412-692-1600 and we'll send you a media kit with all the information.
Bad things happen to good people. Accidents, serious injuries, or even death. When they do, families call Frank Walker Law, where we fight to get you the compensation you deserve. Hard-hitting representation when you need it the most. A real law firm getting real results.
The cigar industry was behind you every step of the way. How did you pitch them, and what type of support did you get?
Well, first you have to have accounts, and I just started calling people, any of the larger companies. You know, hey, it's Mame. I'm opening up a cigar shop in Pittsburgh. I hope that you'll support me in this and you'll give me an account. And I had nobody said no to me. Everyone, Mame, we're so happy to see you come back. This is great. I'm glad you're back on your feet. You know, it was definitely difficult when we had that, when my ex and I had that separation. It was kind of like there was silence in the cigar industry because we did everything together, you know.
And that support, I'm sure, went a long way because you're opening the doors on your own, knowing that you know the industry, but not necessarily knowing what the future. And none of us ever know what the future is going to hold anyway. We just go out on a limb, you know, with our holding onto our breath and clinging to our belly.
They helped me with events. They helped me with, you know, product to run events, to do specials and things like that, which is huge. A lot of people, they purchase based on what can I get. You know, we're all on a budget. So if they helped me do a buy 3 get 1 free, that was great for my customer and it was great for me because it helped me move product.
Tell us about the line of cigars that you and your husband started.
Well, we started
ex-husband,
that's okay. We started 724 back in 2009. It was a few years to get it to that point, but in 2009 it was actually released, and it was pretty much his brainchild. He had this big idea. 724 is an old brand that used to be made in Manchester, New Hampshire. The factory actually still stands in Manchester, New Hampshire, the building itself, but it's now offices. It was a lot of work to get the trademark, blend the cigar. Blending the cigar is probably the hardest, and that really was his forte, and you know, that's what he did. I always did a lot of the back work. You know, I'm good at QuickBooks and computers and things like that. So that was really my specialty in marketing and things like that. But we did take the brand to really mimic the old brand. And it started with just the classic 724 line, and then later he released the Hustler line, which is what you see there. And I brought that out specifically for you because I thought it was very appropriate.
Love it.
And I still joke with him and say, you named that cigar after me, didn't you? Because I feel like you can't make it unless you hustle. You got to hustle, and that's a great word.
It's an awesome word, and it's even more finely represented because it's a cigar.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. Hustle, you're right. I mean, that obviously is the title of the show. And when I think about a person who, like you, tried to start over, come back home to Pittsburgh, ask for help, and then, launch a business in a male-dominated industry takes a hustle.
Yeah,
Without
it took a
doubt.
little hustle. I didn't sleep much for a couple years. I still sometimes lack a lot of sleep, but I work hard. I take a lot of pride in what I do.
What was the toughest part?
With this industry?
Or just getting started, back on your feet, all of it?
Just the fear. Honestly, there's a lot of fear. When money's involved, you're always afraid of what happens if I don't make any money? What happens if nobody comes in my store? That's the biggest fear. I am very thankful for my customers. They are very loyal. We have, we chit chat. We have relationships. We help Mame. How's your daughter? How's the family? Things like that. So you become very close to these people. And so that's probably the hardest part, is just the fear of people coming back.
How do you get over the fear, though?
Every day I wake up, every day you just wake up and today's another day. And I don't think the fear ever actually goes away. I think it just kind of goes on the back burner a little bit, especially when I walk in here every morning and I open the store and I look around and I'm like, this is mine. I did this. And I own everything in here, and it makes me feel really good that I did it pretty, all by myself, obviously with the help of my mother. My mom is an angel, and she has helped me make this happen. Without her, I couldn't have done it. But every day you just get up. I always say, you get up, you dress up, and you show up.
Mm-hmm. That's right, and you have to. And,
Yep.
and when your name is on it and your reputation is there,
Mm-hmm.
and you've put something out, you have to do it in spite of the fear.
Absolutely.
It's the fear that often holds so many people back, and without finding a way to move through it, it's never going to go away, but move through it and embrace it is what is so powerful. How do you balance life and family? I know you have a beautiful daughter, and running this and keeping with her schedule. What is life for you in terms of balancing things outside of smoke?
It's difficult. I make sure that I take Sundays off. That is the day I dedicate to my daughter. It allows us to do something together and spend that mommy-daughter time that we don't get during the week. Now that I've been open for 2.5 years, I do make it a point to try to be home for dinner every single night. Without that, that's how I find out how her day went, how my day went. What do you have for homework? What are you doing this weekend? It's just important for me to at least eat dinner with her. Even if I have to come back to work, I come home for dinner.
Making that time and balancing that, almost scheduling it in, is
Absolutely.
so important, because if not, you lose it. And I would think that for you, your busiest time is the evening. People get off work, they want to come in, they want to enjoy the lounge, and you have to take time aside in that busy time to spend with the most important person in your life.
Yep. And I'm coming into my busiest season. I'm coming into Christmas, and the holidays are huge for me. And you probably won't see me at home until Christmas Eve.
There's often, and I've felt this way a lot, especially with my son and working and running a couple of different businesses. I could never get that out of my stomach, that guilt that I just wasn't there enough, or I didn't do enough. And it's challenging, especially for women. And in your case, a single mom. What do you do with the guilt and the pain that sometimes is there?
It's hard. Guilt for me is definitely something that I can't shake when it comes to Maggie. I just try to do better the next day. I try to be home a little bit more. I try to make sure that I'm home when I put her to bed and we read a story. Guilt is hard to shake because I want to be there all the time, and it's near impossible. But I'm lucky, again, to have my mom who helps me care for her so that she's not with a babysitter or anything like that, which is important for me.
We talk a lot about leveraging on our show, and you can leverage a lot of different things: time, talent, resources, family who can help out, which is so very important. Someone interested in opening a smoke shop or any other brick and mortar business, what would be some recommended tools or resources that you would encourage them to use for leveraging?
Well, I think for me, a lot of times I think customer service, I don't know that is exactly pertaining to your question, but if you're going to do anything retail oriented, you have to use your personality to get
you have to use your personality in a positive way to get where you want to be.
That's what people come in and experience from here. They can buy a cigar from any place.
You can go anywhere. I want you to come see me. I want you to come to my store because I offer an excellent experience and I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just selling you a cigar and saying, see you later. I don't ever want to do that.
I want to talk more about understanding cigars and ways to experience them, and some do's and some don'ts, because I bet there are a few of those. There's probably an etiquette around smoking cigars. So we'll dive into that and some other marketing information that you might offer to other small business owners when we come back.
Hey, it's Tam Michelle with Tie the Knot Tuesday here at the Pittsburgh Marriott City Center, where we take care of all of your event and meeting needs brilliantly. And this week on Tie the Knot Tuesday, we're going to talk about paper, paper, paper. When you're thinking about your invitations, think about pulling a scheme together. Whether it's the font style the whole way, whether it's the color of the paper, whether it's the theme of the wedding, always think about invitations all the way to your place cards, to your signature drink, to the favors that you're going to give away. Everything should always have one theme, one style, and it should be your style. For your wedding and event needs, like us on Facebook at the Pittsburgh Marriott City Center and call us at 412-918-1373 and ask for me, Tam Michelle. Keep smiling.
So what steps have you taken lately to take your business to a whole nother level? Or are you stuck or stalled? I'd love to hear from you. So send me an email at info@dariethchisholm.com, or you can like me on Facebook at Darieth Chisolm or on Twitter at Darieth Chisolm and share your journey. Ask me a question, give me a topic or two, or a potential show guest. Looking forward to hearing from you.
This is not a hotel. It's an idea that travel should be brilliant. Because it's not only about where you're staying, it's about where you're going. The promise of spaces far beyond your imagination. We're here to advance the art of hosting so you can make the most of your journey. Pittsburgh Marriott City Center. Travel brilliantly.
Hello, I'm Dr. Shelley Hibsky, the president of Inspiring Lives LLC and a professor at Robert Morris University. And you're watching Hustle and Heart TV.
So there is undoubtedly an etiquette to smoking cigars, and I've enjoyed a few of them occasionally. I think I know what I'm doing. Most of the time I'm probably not, but just give us some basics, some pointers, some things that people should know about cigars.
Okay. Well, my first tip is always ask if you don't know. Don't feel like, especially here, don't ever feel like you can't ask a question. I think sometimes people go into smoke shops and they feel like they can't ask questions. I really want people to ask questions. It's important. You know, basically when you're cutting a cigar, there's a cap around the top of it. You can actually see how the tobacco is wrapped around the top. You don't ever want to cut below that. You really just want to snip a little teeny tiny bit of the top off, or punch it, or V-cut it. There's several different ways to cut a cigar, and it's all your preference.
And what's the difference? So you said there's a punch, there's a V-cut, and I know you can only get one cut out of this.
Yeah, there's a straight cut that just, you know, you take a little bit off the top. The V-cut will actually notch out like a cat's eye out of it. I personally like the V-cut because I feel like I get less tobacco in my mouth. And then the punch is a circle, and you can't use it on a cigar like this, but on a fatter one, you just kind of twist it in and it just pops a little hole out.
Does it change the way the cigar burns or the way that it tastes?
It'll change the draw. It changes your draw on the cigar. If you clip off the top, you're going to get obviously more smoke. If you have the smaller hole, it kind of condenses it more. As far as etiquette goes, don't tell people that their cigar stinks. You know, oh, you should be smoking this because that's the worst cigar I ever smoked. Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody has their own opinion.
It's like wine.
And their own likes and their own dislikes. I mean, that's like getting a hamburger and somebody says, if you don't get cheese, you're an idiot. Everyone has their own opinion and their own taste, and just let the people around you enjoy what they're smoking. That's probably my biggest tip.
So we've learned a little bit about cuts. I know that there's a ton of ways that you can light a cigar. You can use a lighter, you can use matches, and there's some older device.
Yes, typically we use a torch lighter. You know, some people get turned off by the torch because they say that they can taste the butane in their cigar. I personally use a lighter because I think it's faster and easier. You can also just strike a match and light it with a match. Or if you want to go old school, you can use what's called a cedar spill.
That's it, cedar spill.
Cedar spill. I sell them in the store. I also usually have some to try. But you can take just any piece of cedar out of a cigar box or whatever, and you rip it in a strip, and you light the end of the cedar, and then you light your cigar from the cedar.
And what is the purpose of that, and why is that different?
It's a purer taste. You get no butane, no sulfur from the match. You just get, and the cedar, cigars are always wrapped in cedar or boxed in cedar. So that flavor is supposed to be infused in the cigar.
Nice way to do that if, in fact, people know about it.
It is an old school way of doing it. It is a really nice way of doing it. It's definitely, it definitely is enjoyable and fun to light it that way.
Are there more commonly smoked or chosen cigars over others?
There's a lot of mainstream cigars. In the industry, we have recently really gotten into a lot of boutique brands, which are very difficult to keep track of because there's so many of them. So there are definitely more popular, and it's really advertising, marketing, that kind of thing that really makes them more popular. And then sometimes if you just bring one in your shop and you get your customers to smoke it, you can influence people's decisions that way.
The business of cigars, and when I say business, I mean the profitability, the scale of that. You obviously have certain brands, but long term, I mean, this industry, even though it's under the the heavy weight of obviously the smoking bans that have been occurring, is it going to continue to go? Is it growing? Is it stagnant? Where does it stand financially as an industry?
Well, right now, I think it's definitely in that middle road. I definitely think right now the industry is huge. I feel the industry is huge because there's a lot of people that don't want the FDA taking away our smoking rights, taking away cigars. So they're kind of fighting back. I definitely think it's bigger than you think. If you smoke cigars, you see the scale of what's happening. I don't know. I don't really know what the FDA has in store for us right now. It obviously is going to have an impact on our business. Just not sure exactly what's going to happen yet. So I just kind of keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best when it comes to that.
Yeah. What's the number one thing that you know that you're doing right in terms of marketing and in terms of exposing people to smoke?
Well, I'm real big with social media. For marketing, for me, I try to stick to local, the small charity, things like that. I think that does a lot for my business. Something like what you're doing, the Hustle and Heart. You're a local Pittsburgh native, and you have this great podcast. So that to me is an excellent way to market my business. I really just try to stick to local and home and what's happening around here for marketing.
And when we talk to other small business owners and they're watching and they're thinking to themselves, yeah, I'm looking to niche, I'm looking to start a business like this. Maybe they're looking to branch off and open something different, whether it's a smoke shop or any other brick and mortar business. What would be the one thing that you've learned from a mistake that you would share with someone?
That's a tough one.
Because it's not one or just narrow. Because oftentimes when I think about that, maybe it's not one. It could be a series of things. But if you had to tell somebody, here's an aha, here's a challenge, or something that I learned from, I wish I didn't make, but I learned from.
Well, I think for me, a challenge is when I bring in a new line. Is it going to sell? Is it not going to sell? So I used to buy, when I would bring in a new line, I used to buy the entire line, every size. I think over time I've learned that I forget that I don't have 3 stores anymore, and that I don't have that much traffic.
as far as 3 stores go. So I have learned to make my buys a little smaller, to get it in people's hands first and see how they like it before I bite the larger buy.
They're going to let you know whether or not it's something they're going to consume. And I guess the word of caution to another business owner would be, don't dump everything in.
Don't dump everything into it.
And don't spend a lot of money until you know that is what your customers are demanding.
And variety in this business is huge. You know, if I opened up a shop and just had one brand of cigars, people would say, this is all you have? You know, they like variety.
Where do you go from here? What's next on your agenda?
Well, I have a couple things that I'm thinking about. I'm just not really sure. I'm not sure which one I'm going to take yet, but obviously I'd always would like to open up another store. I think that is important to me personally. You need the 2 stores. I worry about opening up a second store, or I should say I worry about that second store only because me being here is very important to my store, so trying to split myself between 2 might be tough. So that's why sometimes maybe I haven't done it yet. I always say that I would love to teach people how to be salespeople. I think it's a really hard concept, and it's a very hard thing for people to learn. And
it is, because people can have dreams and goals and want to do things, but if you can't sell it, whatever that is, a product, a service, or an idea, it's not going anywhere.
You've got to be able to grasp.
Be a very good salesperson around what it is that your dream is or your business. I want to squeeze 2 more things out of you before we wrap up, and that is 2 tips. One of them being a hustle tip and the other one being a heart tip. So if you'll spend just a second sharing with our audience some major tip around just hustling, and then a great tip around heart or loving what you do.
Well, for hustling, I would say don't ever give up. Just keep going. You have to make it happen. It doesn't matter if you're on 2 hours of sleep or no sleep. You have got to make it happen, because if you don't, somebody else will. And as far as the heart goes, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget your family. That's the most important thing to me. I have a very small family, and I am very thankful for the family that I have.
Okay, so you know I've got to get a collection of those cigars, Hustler, name written all over it. Just love it. Mame, thanks so much for being a part of Hustle and Heart TV. I truly enjoyed getting to know you, and I thank you for being on the show. By the way, if you are listening to us via iTunes or Stitcher Radio, do me a huge favor and please subscribe to the channel, download and write a review. Reviews are tremendous, and we do appreciate them. And I appreciate all of you all watching. I hope that you are enjoying every show that we've been lining up for you. We've got some tremendous guests ahead in the next few episodes, so be sure to leave us your email at the website at hustleandhearttv.com, and we'll make sure that you get all of the episodes in your email. We've got more for you straight ahead.
One place for all your insurance needs? Of course. See State Farm Agent Steve Chris. Call or stop by today.
The Pink House, a 100-year-old attraction filled with the sweet, yummy smell of award-winning Wagner's chocolate. This unique boutique is unlike any candy shop you've ever experienced. The indulgent aroma delights you as you wander from room to room, and you'll discover Wagner's is more than just chocolate. Shop for your own candy-making supplies. Visit the gift shop, book your next party, and be a kid again in the fun ice cream parlor, where they serve hot and cold drinks and Hershey's ice cream. The signature chocolates are handmade with care and attention to detail. You'll be amazed at the favorite offerings that keep generations returning to this family-owned gem. Chocolate-covered pretzels and Twinkies, caramel apples, homemade biscotti, and so much more. This family-friendly experience is worth the stop in Finleyville to experience a 37-year-old tradition. Or order online at thepinkhouse.biz and give a call to 724-348-2238.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Harris. I'm the director of the Center for Women's Entrepreneurship at Chatham University, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Hustle and Heart TV.